Hello and a very warm welcome back to Northwestern Models TV and to our latest video. And today we're going to be building up the 2-ton yard crane kit from Skytrex in 00 gauge. So let's get started. So obviously the first task is to open the pack, and I'm hoping it may be similar to the water crane kits. Obviously I've never built this before, so we'll find out. If you've seen our other videos with the Skytrex models, you'll know that the water columns go together in a very similar manner. Now then, looking at all these bits, you've obviously got some base plates and sides and things, and actually looks like we actually have a full set of, we do have a full set of instructions this time. Hopefully you'll be able to see there. It is only 2 pages worth. So the first page with the big picture on is the parts picture, which indicates intended location and orientation of spindles. So we need to pay attention to that, and by spindles it means these spaces in between. So yeah, we've got to pay attention to that, so I'll leave that where I can see it so I know exactly sort of where things are going. And then the other sheet is literally a load of text, which goes on about what we're doing, parts preparation, and then assembly. It doesn't actually give an assembly routine, it just basically gives you hints and tips on how to put it together. So I think it is one of those, it's generally self-explanatory kits where it should just sort of go together, but I'll keep that handy in front of me just so I can see it. I'll just get it out of view of the camera so you can sort of see what's going on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to assemble all the kits, all the parts for the kit out as it is on the diagram that's been provided, just so that we can see, one, that we've got everything that's supposed to be there, and two, so that it's easy enough to follow. Well, hopefully you'll be able to see there that I've got all the parts out of the various bags and things now, and they're all laid out. To get them fully laid out to how it is on the information sheet like this, I now need to clean up all the parts, get rid of all the flash and any extra bits and get them off the frets, and then relay them back out, so that we can see exactly where everything's supposed to sort of go. So I'll get on with cleaning everything up, and then we can start looking at assembly. Right, well I've now got all the parts cleaned up and they're all in places that they should be according to the sheet here. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to do a dry run of each of the components into the 2 halves. And by that I mean we've got these little spacer pieces which will slot in to the side pieces. I just want to make sure that they're going to fit in both sides, so if I need to file or open any holes up or anything, that now is the time to do it, rather than trying to do it when it's on there, because it's going to be a lot more difficult to do that. So I'm just going to go through and just check that all those fit, and then we should be able to look at starting to put this all together. Seems to be okay. Now I have just noticed that some of these spacers are handed. Now what I mean by that is that they've got two little blocks on them, and then the bits either side, one side is longer than the other. The longer side needs to go on the piece with the cogs on, so they act, so they go through and act as the cog pieces. So just make sure that you get those right before you start putting everything together. Because the last thing we want to do is to be struggling to get them to go together properly. So they all seem to fit in quite nicely, and what I'm going to do now is just essentially glue them into one side first, and then we'll glue them into the other, rather than, because we won't be able to get them all together in one go. So we need to be able to make sure that it all slots together as easily as possible. So to glue it together, we're going to be using the Deluxe Materials Rapid Glue. It's an ideal super glue for this kind of job. It's quick, it's easy, it's fairly clean, and it will just do the job that we need it to do. So I'm just going to start putting these spacers in the right way round into the side with the cogs, I think, first, because we know that needs to be the handed side. So I'm just going to put a blob of glue on the ends and then literally just drop it in, like so. Probably will find that the parts may well wiggle about a bit, like this one seems to want to, but that's no real problem, because the glue will hold it eventually. And certainly once we've got the other side on as well, it's all going to come together quite nicely. Check that one. Just go in there. You don't need tons and tons of glue, but just enough to hold it in place. And we mustn't forget to put the main beam in at the bottom as well. Now I'm actually going to leave that loose, I think, for now, and then glue it from the other side. So now we've got those on there, you can now see that the other side piece should just essentially slot and drop onto these little spindles. So I'm just doing a little dry run with it first, just so that I know it's going to go on without any real hassle. He says. There we go, so that will go on there, and whilst it is actually together like that, I will actually just glue it in place, I think. So instead of, oh no, it's split apart anyway. Right. So let's get the glue on. putting a little blob on each of the spindles. Make sure we get that one in. And just working my way up the framework. There we go. And if you heard that, that did just then arrive on there with a resounding clunk. It is on there, so I'm just going to hold it together for a minute, just while the glue settles down a little bit. We can see already it's starting to come together in the shape of a crane, which is quite pleasing. There we are. So, what else needs to go on here? Well, we have, what have we got? I don't know what we got. On one side we have this long little handle bracket thing. Just looking at the picture, it goes on the side away from the cogs. Now I'm assuming that this is to manoeuvre the crane around. Unfortunately the picture is not exactly clear of where it goes, but it does appear to come out from just underneath the balance weight pulley wheel there. So I'm just going to stick it on underneath there. It does look like it's going to fit nicely there, so I'll just lob it on there. Like so. And then the other side, we've actually got the winding handle for the crane itself, which goes on to the smallest cog by the looks of things. So that will sit on there. So again, I'll just put a blob of glue on the back of it and get it stuck on in place, making sure that the middle of it lines up with the middle of the cog. Much easier said than done. There we go. Just literally had to wait for the glue to go off then. Alright, so that is pretty much the main components together of the crane. So the next pieces to go on are the wire stays. Now it all depends on the sort of angle that you want on your crane, to how much you need. Well, I think you need to be aiming for, you know, a reasonable sort of angle. You could have it a little higher if you wanted. It's entirely up to you. But obviously we're going to need to trim the wire because it's just a little bit too long to go on. So what I'm going to do is I'll measure these out and cut them equally so that they're the same length. That way we know it's going to match quite nicely for that particular job, because they're actually two separate lengths at the moment anyway. So if I wanted to, I could do this a little bit more accurately. We'll go about there somewhere. But sometimes just doing things by sight can work wonders, because you just build it to the size that you want. So now I've got two of those, and we'll get those stuck on there, and it'll hopefully pull it all together quite nicely. just going to just straightening the jib out there a little bit, as it has just got a little bit bent with handling. Something you do need to watch out for, because it's like metal, it's soft, so it's going to move a little bit here and there. So, not entirely sure how I'm going to do this. I think I'll lie it down and do perhaps that one first. Now on the jib itself, there is 2 little notches, one on each side, for these rods to go to. So all I'm doing is literally just, I've only put glue at the far end at the moment, so at the top end of the jib, so hopefully the glue will then hold it in place while I'm holding it in position with the rest of the crane. So once the glue's gone off, I should then be able to glue the other end, all being well. Plus, by giving it a bit of height, it means that when we come to put the hook on, we've got a bit of a chance with it. Okay. Just going to leave that to go off a little bit more first, I think. I think I'll leave that to go off for a bit and we'll wait and see. So I'll be back in a bit and hopefully we've got the other side done as well. Right, so now I've managed to get both of the rods on there. The last one is just setting at the moment, so I'm not going to move it too much. But it was quite a fiddly job to get them on there, I will openly admit that. But they're on, so that's the main thing. So we've got one last major component, which is this one, and this is the main pivot which goes through the middle of it, which is used to swivel the crane around, and it's obviously got a large base on the bottom of it, so you can drill a hole in your baseboard and it'll then enable it to, you can position it how you want it. I'm probably not actually going to fit that, or I may do. No, we'll fit it, and I'll have to make a special plinth for this to stand on for when we go to exhibitions. That's fine, because I can do that. Yeah, we'll do that, and that's quite easy because on the casting for the 2 side plates, you should be left with a hole in the middle. You might just be able to see that, and that is where that piece should slot through through into the upper one. So it literally just sits in like that. Now I'm actually going to glue this one in place so that it's not going to be spinning around or falling out, because like I say, this is going to be an exhibition model for our display stand, so we don't want bits moving around through carriage and getting lost and things like that. So if you're building this into your layout at home and it's not going to exhibitions, then you can just ignore this stage, because you can just drill the hole, put the base in, paint it, and then drop the crane on top, and it'll work as the crane should do. So let's drop that in there and just hold it that way up just to let it, just let the weight on it, just let it dry. So that is the main part of the crane built now. So we have two components left, which is I can pick it up, the little hook and the chain as well. And I'm going to fit the chain first, because that goes onto the front spindle, or the front cog, the one that's nearest to the jib, and I'm going to glue that in place, and I'm going to wrap it around a few times, run it up and over the pulley wheel, and then we'll attach the hook on the end of it to make full use of the chain, and also to make it look quite good as well with any look. So yeah, so this will probably will take a little while to do. It is going to be a bit of a fiddly job, but we'll give it a go and see what happens. So that's the gluing. So now we just need a bit of chain. There we go. So that's the first bit of chain on there. Like I say, I'm going to try my best to try and wrap it around a few times and then send it up and over. Now I will say that whilst I'm handling this crane at the moment, it is quite delicate. There's little bits on it which you can sort of feel moving a little bit occasionally, but I think in general, if you just take your time and you're careful with it, you shouldn't have any real problems assembling this kit. So I'm just going to, like I say, just literally try my best to wrap this around, and using gravity to assist where possible. So I'm sort of moving the crane around as well as obviously trying to get the chain in the right place. Sorry if I just went off camera a bit then. Sort of want to be able to try and see what I'm doing and try and show you at the same time. It's a little bit difficult. Yeah, this is certainly one of the fiddly jobs, but it's going to look so much better at the end of it. I think just one. Oh, actually, I think that'll do. So I've gone round it 2 or 3 times now, I think, and I've just had a look to see how it looks over the pulley. See if I'm happy with it. It's still a little bit long, but hopefully you might be able to sort of see the effect we're going for there. So I think once more around the spindle, and we should be somewhere near, I think. So I'm just testing it on each one now, just to see if it's where I want it to be. Let's go another couple of times, I think, just to get it nice. It's one of those time taken now to do this is just going to improve your model so much later on. I'm just going to hold that up a bit so I can see it. Oop, he says. yeah, I'm quite happy with that. That's going to be just nice for what we want. So now I've got the chain to the length that I want. I'm just going to put a little bit of glue in the top of the pulley. That's just going to help hold the chain in place where we want it. It's going to put a little bit of tension on it, not too much, but just a little bit on there, so that hopefully now you might be able to just about see that there is a little bit of chain here going down to the gears at the bottom there, like so. So, like I said, the last piece to go on now is the hook, and that should be fairly simple because we can lie the crane down once that's set in the end, which I think it has done now. I'll just tidy the chain out a little bit, and then we should be able to glue the hook on the end. So I'm just going to put a small blob of glue on the end of the hook, which is the little circled end. Says as he drops everything, and then just hopefully pick up the last chain or two from there, preferably without sticking myself to the chain or anything else like that. So hopefully that should have it now. Glue away. Yeah, looks that way. So there we are. We've now got the ball and chain, the hook on the end of the chain, and that is the crane completed. So there we go, another wonderful kit from the Skytrex range. Yes, this was a little bit fiddly to put together, but like all the Skytrex kits, it's a lovely little kit. It's taken me probably about an hour to put it together, mainly waiting for bits of the glue to dry and the tidying up. There's quite a bit of flash left on some of the parts. But this is now ready to be painted. Like I say, we're going to put it on display for when we're at exhibitions. But you know, so that people can see it. But it's a lovely kit, goes together really well, and I'm pretty sure that a lot of you guys are going to enjoy making them out there. So anyway, that's it for today. If you've liked this video, do hit the like button. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button as well. And until next time, happy modelling.